We're in your culinary book. We're in Unit 4 now on fresh foundations, Chapter 7. So let's look here at Chapter 7. We're going to start with eggs and dairy. Eggs and dairy are essential in your diet, so either one. And these categories are foundational when you're planning a meal. And so they can be suitable for any tastes and any lifestyle. So let's talk about eggs. Characteristics of eggs. Well, the nutritional information about eggs basically say that eggs are a complete protein, and they may have other nutritional benefits besides just protein. The white of the egg contains protein, water, and a little riboflavin. And the yolk contains fat, some protein, and most of the egg's vitamins and minerals are in the yolk. So eggs are among the 8 most common allergens. So you have to be very careful. That's why they have to put whether eggs are in anything that's packaged now, because so many people are allergic to eggs. So some commonly found ingredients that contain either eggs or egg proteins are listed on labels. They have to be listed as eggs, egg whites, powdered eggs, dried eggs, albumin, globulin, lecithin, lecithin, lysozyme, vitalin, and any ingredient that begins with ovo, like ovoprotein or anything oval. Those all have eggs in them. And eggs may also be present in different medicines, and eggs are present in lots of vaccines too. So if you're unable to eat eggs due to an allergy, you may have intolerance to it or such. You have to be able to take vitamins such as iron, vitamin A, and several B vitamins and D vitamins get them from other foods besides eggs. So you can see eggs, they provide a lot of vitamins in your diet. So let's talk about the parts of the egg, right? Of course, that we have the eggshell, which is the hard covering of the egg. And this eggshell, when you're looking at an egg, should always be uncracked. If you're buying an egg, if the egg's cracked, it needs to be thrown away, right? But the shell provides the covering for the egg. Let's go on to the next here so you can see a picture. So here we see a picture of an egg here. But the shell helps prevent the egg from drying out. So if you have a crack, the egg is going to be dried out. So the color of eggs can vary greatly, it says here. They are influenced by the breed of the hen, and they have no effect. So you can have brown eggs. They're just as good as white eggs, and there's no difference. So after cracking an egg, you have to check then. You check the white area, and the white area should be the clear part of the egg. And to ensure that this area is thick and does not spread out or look really watery. If it looks really watery, it may be rotten or it may be old. And then you should check the yolk. The yolk is the yellow portion, and you should check to make sure it's round and compact and does not appear really flattened, right? So when you crack an egg, you look, and if the white's all, thin and watery, something's wrong. Or if the yolk is like flat and watery too, something's wrong with that too. So you have to ensure that the yolk is compact and appears round. So while inside the egg, the yolk is suspended in the center of the egg, as you can see there. By the white, you see those white twisty little things there? These white twisty things that look like yarn or cords when you have an egg are called chalazae. Chalazae. So you see those pictures of the chalazae? Here's a picture. Chalazae. Looks like it says chalazae, but it's pronounced chalazae. And so those are those little yarn-like things. So the chalazae will be more pronounced in a fresh egg. So, but they do not affect the cooking or the quality of the egg at all. You don't have to take the chalazae off at all, or chalazae off at all. And the shell is lined with thin membranes, as you can see here, the thin membranes there. The shell is lined with those membranes, and they separate it from as you can see, from the shell and the part of the egg to that air cell there. And so the fresher the egg, the smaller the air cell will be. See the air cell? I call it air pocket. But anyway, the air cell here. So you can see the membranes there, and you can see right there is the air cell and that air pocket. So, so you can see, and it's important, the fresher the egg, the smaller that air cell will be. So that's why you can take eggs sometimes and try to float them, and the ones that float well have bigger air cells, which means they're older eggs. So you can tell how fresh an egg is, how the egg usually doesn't float as well when it has a smaller air cell. So eggs are sized as follows. We have peewee eggs, we have small, medium, large, extra large, and jumbo eggs. And most recipes call for large eggs. So if it says eggs, use a large egg, not a tiny egg. So, but you know, if you have to use them, you'll just know maybe, but do not use the really tiny eggs, you know, so. Purchasing and storing eggs. When you buy eggs, you always open the carton to check for clean, uncracked eggs. And move each egg slightly to be sure there are no cracks in the bottoms of the eggs too. So if there's a crack, you're going to have to throw the egg away. Eggs that do not move freely in their individual compartments likely have been cracked. So if the eggs are sticking to the carton, then they've probably been cracked. So don't take the eggs if they're stuck into the if you can't move them around and they're stuck to the carton. Cracked eggs are more likely to be contaminated with salmonella. So that's very dangerous. So if you eat a cracked egg or that's been in a carton like that, you can get drastically sick with salmonella. If buying eggs commercially, you keep them below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That means in a refrigerator, they have to be refrigerated. So, and you wouldn't put them in a freezer, that's for sure. So at home, as refrigerating the eggs, store them with their wide end up to help the yolk be centered, and keep the eggs in their original container to prevent them from losing their moisture. So if you have eggs, it's best to be in the original container. Now, some refrigerators have egg carton things, you can put them in there, but they say the best is to have them stay in the original with the wide end up. So because eggs are washed commercially before they're packaged, they do not need to be washed at home. Now, if you're getting eggs from a farm, you need to wash the eggs. Just telling you. So, okay, let's go on here. So, of course, here's something to try. So, you're testing egg for freshness. I already told you about that. It basically, you test an egg for freshness using cold water test. Place an uncracked egg in a bowl of cold water. If the egg sinks, it's fresh. If the egg floats, then it's no longer fresh and should be thrown away. So floating eggs are not good. I think I told you that already. So let's go on. When you buy eggs at the store, they should be sold within 3 to 5 weeks or by their expiration date. Most of them have an expiration on date anyway. And the date should be stamped at the end of the carton. And as the eggs get older, the white thins and the yolk flattens and the air cell grows bigger, so you can know those are old eggs, and then they start getting rotten. If you're unsure whether an egg is fresh, you can do that cold water test and find out. Cooked eggs and eggs that are not in the shell also require special storage. So if you cook an egg, hard-boiled eggs, you need to put them in the refrigerator for 1 week and eat them within the next week. Especially if you're having hard-boiled eggs out there and you put them out in the yard for Easter egg hunts or something, make sure you gather them in and put them in the refrigerator, and then you can eat them within 1 week. Don't keep them for longer than that period of time. So, let's see. It says raw eggs, raw egg whites and egg whites both can be kept in the refrigerator for 4 days. So if you have cracked eggs, you can leave them in the refrigerator for 4 days. But for best results, it's to eat the leftover egg dishes, such as quiche, within 3 to 4 days in the refrigerator. Don't go on for weeks, that's for sure. If you have any doubt about the quality of the egg or the way it's been stored, you just go ahead and discard it. Don't, take a chance. Eggs are not that expensive. Contaminated eggs are one of the most common causes of foodborne illnesses. So do not freeze raw whole eggs. And inside an egg, it will expand as it's freezing, and the eggshell will likely be cracked. So there's no way you should be freezing raw eggs. Cooked eggs do not freeze well either, because the whites of the frozen of the cooked eggs will become very tough and very watery. So eggs don't freeze. Let's just say that. Handling eggs. Sanitation is of utmost importance when handling eggs. To prevent possible exposure, of course, to salmonella, make sure you wash your hands after handling eggs. In that point when eggs are cooked at a safe temperature, they will have a firm texture. They won't be runny. Don't eat runny eggs, right? And they'll register at 160 degrees Fahrenheit if you have a thermometer to see what temperature the eggs are when you're cooking. If you overcook the eggs, they'll be very tough and rubbery. So always use kind of a low to medium heat to avoid overcooking the eggs, to make them hard and rubbery. Methods of cooking eggs. So hard cooked eggs. You place the eggs in a pan of water, and the water should be deep enough to leave about 1 inch of water above the egg. And then bring the water to a boil. Then remove the pan from the stove and cover the pan after you bring it to a boil, and let the eggs sit in the hot water. Those are hard cooked eggs. Here's a picture. Here's a picture of each egg separately. So when you're breaking your eggs, break an egg into one container, then put it in, and then break it into its own container, so you don't break a rotten egg into a good egg, right? Is what they're doing it. Do not break an egg directly into other ingredients at all. So always break eggs separately to see if they're any good. So let's go here. Okay, in hard cooking, basically for 15 to 18 minutes, you then drain the hot water after you see how those eggs are sitting in the hot water, the boiling water, for 18 minutes, and then run cold water over the eggs and submerge them. Even you can put ice water to cool them off. And these are hard cooked eggs, hard boiled eggs, sometimes they call them. Baked are shirred eggs. You crack an egg into a greased custard cup, a little custard cup, and you season it with salt and pepper, and then you put like 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of milk or cream on them. And then you can bake them from approximately 15 minutes at 325 degrees. So then, you can top the eggs, then put cheese on top of them at the end, and it looks like a great baked eggs. So I don't think I've ever really baked eggs, but here's a picture of it. See a picture of a baked egg. Fried eggs. You heat a couple of tablespoons of butter or oil in a skillet over a low heat, and then you gently place it in the egg. Gently, if you don't want to crack the yolk or break the yolk. So into the skillet, and then you spoon hot butter or oil over the egg to help the egg cook evenly, or to pull a lid on the pan. You could put a lid on a pan instead and just cook the egg until the white sets up without putting the oil. Sometimes I remember my mother, would take the spoon in hot butter over it to cook the top of the egg, and at other times just put put a lid on it and it will cook. So flipping the egg. Sometimes you see fried eggs, you see there is cooking, then you just flip the egg after it's, cooked, to make sure it's cooked on the other side. And so, but a lot of times when you flip the egg, you may break the yolk. And so you won't have, you're dipping to dip the yolk in with your toast, and a lot of people like the yolk broken anyway. So cook until the egg is firm and the yolk is not runny. And it will usually take about 6 minutes. So only 6 minutes. So that's fried eggs. So we have the baked eggs here, and that's when you put them in the custard cups. First we have the boiled eggs, we have, or hard-boiled eggs, I should say, and then we have baked eggs, fried eggs. Now we have poached eggs. So poached eggs, you add salt and a small amount of vinegar to the water. So vinegar is really good in poaching eggs. I didn't know that. And so you add this small amount of vinegar to the water and you bring it to a boil, and then you reduce it to this simmer. And the vinegar will keep the egg from spreading. And then you crack the eggs open one at a time into these small little bowls or custard cups, your poaching eggs. So let's go on here. Here's a picture of a egg meal here. And then you slide the egg into the water and you cook for about 5 minutes. These are poached eggs, about 5 minutes. And once the egg is firm and the yolk is not running, you remove the egg with a large slotted spoon, so you're getting rid of the water, and trim away any of the unattractive edges to make it really nice. See how these poached eggs look pretty nice? And they put it on top of vegetables there. Also, another way to cook eggs, of course, and you've probably had an omelet. So omelets, how do you fix them? You take and whisk together 2 or 3 eggs, and you put like 1 tablespoon of water, milk, or cream, and so the omelet's not so thick. And so you put that water, milk, and cream. Now, you can use almond milk if you don't want regular milk. And so 1 tablespoon per each egg. So if you have two eggs, you're gonna put 2 tablespoons in. And then you season it with salt and pepper, and however you like, salt and pepper. And before adding the egg mixture to the skillet, heat a tablespoon of butter on a medium to low heat. And when the butter starts sizzling, then you can add the eggs to the pan. And the whisked eggs, you already whisked them up and everything. You have them already there with the cream. And you allow them to set up slightly, as in the frying pan, as you put it in the frying pan on medium heat. And then you can lift the edge of the egg mixture, a little bit with a spatula. How you, on the edge of the omelet with a spatula, to get some of the top parts of the watery top of the part to go underneath, So you lift the edge with the spatula, you allow the uncooked portion to flow under the cooked portion, and you continue until the bottom of the omelet is lightly browned. So don't burn it, and don't keep it so it's more on a medium heat, not a high heat. Then use the spatula, you fold the omelet in half, and the inside of the folded omelet will continue to cook after it's been removed from the heat. So even after you remove it from the heat, it will still cook a bit in that inside part. So omelets are pretty delicious, aren't they? And you can put them with different fillings in the omelets. So for a cheese omelet, you'll add the grated cheese to top the surface after towards the end of cooking it. So you add cheese on top of it, a little bit, and melted cheese, which will melt right away. So while it's browning, you just put a little cheese on top. If you add other ingredients as onions and bell peppers and mushrooms or cubed ham, lightly saute those, in butter. Sounds really good with butter, Take those ingredients and saute them in butter in a pan and a little bit cook them before you add them to the egg mixture. So that's what, you usually put the pan there. That's what Papu does, puts all these ingredients and gets them sauteed, cooked a little bit before you add the egg mixture in on top of it, so. All right, you may also wish to reserve some of the ingredients to put on top of the cooked omelet. Sometimes you put avocados and sour cream on top of an omelet. It's really good. All kinds of different kinds of omelets. Scrambled eggs. So you'll whisk together eggs and 1 tablespoon of water, milk, or cream, so into per egg, so same way, 1 tablespoon to 1 egg of water, milk, or cream. And season it with salt and pepper as you desire. And in a skillet, heat the tablespoon of butter on medium to low heat until it sizzles, and then you add the egg mixture. And as the portions of the egg begin to set up, like you do kind of in the omelet there, you lift them with a spatula to allow the uncooked portion to run to the bottom of the pan. And then stir it in, but don't stir it too frequently, because then you'll make the eggs tough. So stir it just a couple times and make scrambled eggs. And don't just sit there and stir, or you're gonna have really tough eggs. So perfectly scrambled eggs will be moist, tender, fluffy, and undercooked eggs will be wet. making them unsafe to eat. So don't undercook eggs. And overcooked eggs will be really dry. So you want to have nice scrambled eggs. So what about when you use eggs in recipes? Eggs can be used in lots of different recipes. They're very versatile. And the eggs are used in recipes to hold the ingredients together. First, eggs can be used as a binder to holding the ingredients together. For example, an egg in a meatloaf helps prevent the meatloaf from falling apart. So even while it's cooking. So eggs are good to put in a meatloaf. And eggs added to baked goods such as cakes, cookies, and brownies also act as a binder to hold those ingredients together. That's why you put eggs in there. The second way eggs function in recipes is an emulsifier. So what's an emulsifier? Emulsifier is the suspension of one liquid in another. That's what you call emulsifier. So lecithin, which is a type of fat found in egg yolks, is the key ingredient that allows eggs to function this way. Eggs have lecithin in them, and in this way, they can be suspended in another ingredient. And so a good example here is mayonnaise. Mayonnaise has eggs in it, right? And mayonnaise is a permanent emulsifier that contains eggs. Although the ingredients in the mayonnaise would normally separate from each other, they hold together because the high oil content in the egg suspends the oil droplets in the liquid ingredients, emulsifier, equally throughout the whole mixture. So instead of separating, it emulsifies it together. So that's why in mayonnaise it has that texture there, and it's all throughout. You don't see little spots of egg throughout, you know. There are also many other ways to use eggs. Eggs are sometimes chopped or sliced and used as garnishes, like hard boiled eggs on foods, or sometimes hard-boiled eggs are put into potato salads or green salads. And sometimes beaten eggs, as you beat the egg whites especially, they add volume to different baked goods. So sometimes they'll say just add egg whites. So egg whites are very common. Certain foods such as angel food cake and cheese soufflés, they have egg whites in them to add that, make them fluffy. Eggs are also sometimes used as a thickener for certain things, like make the texture thicker, like on pumpkin pie and custards. You know, they put eggs in there to make their texture thick. An egg wash, which is an egg mixture with a little bit of water or milk, will give a shiny appearance to bread or pastries or dough. So that mixture gives the egg mix give that. So, and of course, eggs can be used as a main dish, whether it's a frita, quiche, omelet, or scrambled. You can always use eggs as a main dish. Cooking eggs appears as something to try. So gather all your ingredients and equipment for cooking eggs and do the hard cooked, baked, poached, omelet. These are all on your videos. And then follow those techniques. So do try that. The last part here talks about egg substitutes. So egg substitutes are pasteurized, processed egg products that can be used instead of fresh eggs in recipes. You'll see these when you go to the grocery store. Because these egg products are pasteurized, they are a safe alternative to use in recipes that will not be cooked. So if you're not, because they're pasteurized eggs, they're not going to have bacteria in them. So you can use these and put them add them to something that you don't have to cook. So otherwise, eggs have to be cooked. Egg substitutes are available in liquid, frozen, and a lot of different dried forms of egg substitutes. And you'll have to look at the label, and they'll give instructions how to prepare each one differently. So if you have a dried egg, you're going to have to add it to water or whatever, just by following the directions. But there's a lot of different egg substitutes. So many egg substitutes contain no egg yolk, making them cholesterol-free and fat-free. And egg substitutes are lower in calories because of this. than whole eggs. So a lot of times egg substitutes are pretty healthy. Well, sometimes they don't taste as well, but sometimes they do. So it says here, these concerns can also be addressed by separating fresh eggs and using 2 egg whites per whole egg called for a recipe, which is often more economical option than using egg substitutes. But basically it's saying that if you want to use egg whites, sometimes you'll have to use 2 egg whites per whole egg, so then it's better to use substitutes because you have to throw away the rest of the egg, right? So these products can also be beneficial to those who are allergic to whole eggs, but you have to still check to make sure and check with your doctor that if you can really eat egg substitutes, and just to make sure it isn't going to cause you to have an allergic reaction. Maybe you're just allergic to the egg yolk, but anyway, they say that they think most egg substitutes would be more easier for people to eat than that seem to be intolerant to eggs. So, but not always the case. So, anyway, so this has been a little chapter on eggs, and we're going to go on to the next section, section 2, which talks about milk and milk products. So